you doing?
What's up, Alec?
What are you doing right now? What is this?
What's up? I'm ready for
What's
Survivor.
good? Yeah, are you? Are you ready? Are
What
you
are we
ready? Are you
watching?
ready?
What are we
Are you
watching
ready?
today?
We're not watching anything. We're
Oh,
reviewing. We are reviewing Survivor Borneo.
ooh,
No, we're not.
we spun the wheel and Survivor Borneo is
Yeah,
coming back.
Survivor Borneo came out. That's what we're doing. We spun the wheel. That's what's happening. No, we are reviewing
Survivor
Survivor
Guatemala.
Guatemala, which is the most recent we reacted to. If you aren't aware, we do a Survivor reaction series on this channel. Zach has taken me through all seasons of Survivor from the beginning. We've started, and I've been sworn to secrecy, going in chronological order. Zach is kind of a super fan. I am just watching it all for the first time in this way. So
Yeah.
it's been fun. This is the most recent season that we're at Guatemala, and we're here to break it down, talk about it. So it was this season.
So yeah, if you're interested, you can go and there's a playlist on our channel. There's all of our Survivor videos we've done, which includes reviews of every season before Guatemala. So 10 seasons of reviews at this point. And we've also done reactions to every episode since Thailand. And so if you come here, you love Guatemala, you're interested in our opinions on Guatemala, we also have a whole playlist for all the episodes of Forever Guatemala that we went through as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's some good stuff.
This is my second time watching it. This is Alex's first time watching it. So it's there's a lot to get into. As always, we'll break down kind of how the season went, some things that were unique to this season, some new things, answer a couple questions, and then we're gonna rank the winner, rank the season, okay, compared to the others. All right, so Survivor Guatemala was filmed between the months of June and August 2005, and then it aired from September to December 2005. So we're taking it back to 2005. That's where we're at. The big headline, the first episode of the season, you have the 11-mile trek. The biggest.
Just absolute brutality is what it was.
It was a reward challenge too, kind of.
Yeah.
Like it was like who got the better camp is what the reward was for this 11-mile trek. Who got there first?
Yeah.
And, well, I guess that's not necessarily the headline. There was also the fact that Stephanie and Bobby John return to the whole, hey, at the top of the Mayan steps.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They're back. We're back. Which is just kind of weird because it was like they were literally just there. Like for us, it was like they just there. Like
I've heard a lot of people talk about like the season as if it's like almost a sequel to Palau in a way. Like you should watch them back to back almost.
It kind of works that way. I think you definitely get some redemption arcs, like Stephanie and Bobby John like come into their own even more somehow. It's a very interesting, because like even though there was a lot of them already that we got in Palau, but it's like we get even more of them. Like we saw different sides of them. Their sort of more strategic side rather than just getting pounded into the ground repeatedly, which is kind of what we saw of them in Palau. So.
Right. And we saw Stephanie as like the hero. She was super popular after Palau. She was like underdog in Palau. You know, the last surviving member of her tribe. Then you go into this season, and it's almost the opposite, where she's far from the underdog. She's in the most comfortable position, like for most of the game. She's almost like a villain. She's basically a villain in this season in a way.
She kind of is, yeah. I would say that I would consider her a villain. Judd is semi-villain, I think, as well. They kind of like trade off the sort of villainous sort. Even though Judd is like, in terms of a villain, really he's only a villain because he mouths off. That's like his villainous trait. So.
But like Stephanie is obviously like almost similar to the Boston Rob spot in here, where she's like the one everybody's laying into at the end, and like she's got the blood on her hands, kind of thing.
She's betrayed everybody.
And it's like Stephanie is inseparable from like both of these seasons back to back. So she's a significant part of it.
Yeah.
So that's obviously the biggest thing of the season there.
Mm.
So they return, and then they do this 11-mile trek, and then I think the first few votes are pretty unmemorable. You know, you have, just by name alone, you got Jim voted out, Morgan voted out, and Brianna voted out. It's like, who? It's hard to say.
Yeah. It's well, because I mean, a lot of it, like a lot of this, like the early week, I would say the first week is them like trying to recover from the trek.
Yeah.
Honestly, like they were all like a lot of the people were suffering.
Yeah,
like, people were like,
I would say that's one of the downsides for me. It's like there's a certain epicness to it. It's like, wow, they've never done something this hardcore before, but obviously the effects of it last throughout like at least half of the pre-merge.
Yeah.
Where it's like the first couple of people are just like they're dying. Jim gets voted out because he got his arm messed up and he's old, so it's like his bad hand there. But like Bobby John was dying, Blake was dying, like everybody was down.
Yeah, Bobby John was like his eyes were rolling back. He was almost having a seizure. Blake was like vomiting up water constantly. Like it was just like
imagine Bobby John gets voted out first. It's like because he was dying. It's like, well,
your
twist of Bobby John coming back really paid off then.
Yeah.
And then at one point they have a tribe swap. It's a weird how they did it. They based it on this like quiz challenge they were doing where it was like the person with the most tribe pride like switched tribes, and then like there was some weird rearranging about it.
Well, because it was weird too, because we were still kind of just getting to know the tribes. It seemed like really early for something like that to happen.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to track.
Yeah.
Even now, I made sure to note this. It's so hard to wrap your head around the fact that Steph, like these people were all together on an original tribe together. Steph, Rafe, Lydia, Jamie, and Gary were all on an original tribe together. And Danny, Cindy, Judd, and Bobby John were on the other original tribe together.
That's so weird.
It's so weird. We've almost never seen something like this where it's like almost always the original tribe is going to win out over the swap tribe, but it seems like the swap tribe bond was so much more powerful. Like
way more powerful, yeah.
Stephanie and Jamie kind of got Judd to turn on. That was the big... We almost forget about that, too. That was in the pre-merge. Judd was the guy who turned on his original alliance. And was like, was that a good move? I don't know. And it ended up getting him really far, so it seemed like it was. And but yeah, so he ultimately turned on his original alliance. But it's just so weird to wrap your head around the fact that Judd and Danny and Cindy were on a tribe together originally, and then Gary was on a tribe with Stephanie and Rafe and Lydia and Jamie, but somehow he ended up getting left out once they got merged. So
it was really weird. I mean, I even wrote in my notes for that episode, tribes all got swapped around confusingly.
Yeah,
it was just like
it was hard to keep track of. Yeah, especially when you're still getting to know people. It was so it was kind of rough.
The heat changes you. Brandon, 2005. I wrote that in my notes.
And so after the swap, they convince Judd to turn on his alliance, and then they vote out Brooke.
Yep.
And then switch over. Blake gets voted out of the other tribe, and then when we come back, to the tribe with Judd. You get the most iconic tribal council, where Margaret gets voted out. That's where Judd's standing up, talking about it. She said, "I have ADD," and they vote Margaret out.
I put that episode was my Survivor Star episode. It was just what a wonderful episode. I mean, it's almost one of the biggest takeaways from the season is that it's like you have probably the most memorable tribal council to date. You also have the Fall Guys game where Amy gets like destroyed by a boulder, and then it's also the touch my leg moment.
And they love replay. We replayed that so many times. I wonder how many times they replayed that. Both of those clips.
Yeah, they did a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, Brian gets voted out and Amy gets voted out, and then we go to the merge where Brandon is voted out. And then at the merge, you see there's a clearly defined, there's the six that are strong together. And that's like almost unbreakable, it seems, to a point. Until Stephanie starts, Stephanie and Rafe kind of start turning on them a little bit, one by one. But so, notably, once you hit the jury point, the hidden immunity idol, Twists, is introduced to this game, and Gary finds it.
Gary found it, and it saved him for an extra week.
Something unique to Guatemala, the hidden immunity idol. So, how do you feel about it?
I actually really like this. I like this element of it being like a working thing where it's like, where you like earn different clues to it, and then that it doesn't in and of itself guarantee that you're going to find it either, because we saw, it's definitely 100% on the ground, so to speak. Which wasn't a lie, because he has "so to speak" in there. Because if you think about it, I mean, the tree's technically on the ground, so so to speak. Yeah. So, so Judd was the one that earned the clue. He was like some of the worst lying I've ever seen in my life, but everyone seemed to buy it, because I mean, you didn't necessarily know, unless you knew he was lying. You just thought he was just being weird and just saying that, I guess. But until Gary was looking around, he's like, "Huh, interesting. He's looking up in the trees." So Gary found it, and it bought him some time.
Yeah. So that saved him for that tribal, and then Bobby John gets voted out instead. So Bobby John did make the jury.
He did.
And he gave us some good entertainment this season. He had some nice moments.
It's some good moments. It was I wrote down Stephanie and him, like there was some weird like Stephanie and him like tension, which I thought I'm not sure where that exactly came from, but
yeah, there was definitely a weird dynamic there that was almost unexplained throughout the show. But
because it was like they had a bond in Palau. I mean, some of it I remember Stephanie complaining about Bobby John being like kind of weird and like a slob and kind of. Yeah. But I didn't.
You only saw that introduced when it was down to them being the last.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, it's true. And then she called him gay at one point or something. I wrote it down. Oh, you see him cheering. He was so gay, and I was like, "Rafe is right there, Stephanie. You realize that, right?" Yeah, I was like, that was kind of a weird development for Stephanie to all of a sudden just be throwing that out there. I mean, I was more that was a 2000s thing. It was kind of acceptable to
2000s Edge.
2000 it was 2000s Edge. There you go, right there. But it's like he didn't really like her either. He like would say like weird things to be like not liking her. It was just very strange. It was an unspoken hatred of each other, and it was interesting. But his relationship with Jamie, I mean, that's the real story of the season, beautiful. If you ask me. Yeah, it was beautiful.
They came out holding hands, like when they walked in on the jury. I love that.
Even holding hands, yeah. I mean, there were two basically two. They're basically two, like,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's like two cocks ready to fight. You know.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they were just like they're just.
Well,
they're both trying to.
Okay. It's funny because right after Bobby John gets voted out, Jamie's next to follow him, and they have their little bromance on the jury.
They do, yeah. They're like laughing and like almost like in each other's laps.
Yeah, they loved it when Gary was roasting Stephanie about getting her autograph after the season.
Yeah, they were both like yucking it up over there.
But Gary got voted out. I do appreciate Gary because we see oftentimes in seasons past, like people, it's like once it's not going their way, it's like, all right, well, I'm fine, had a good time. I guess I'm done. But Gary never did that. He tried his hardest. He got that immunity idol, and then even after that, he was trying to strike deals and talk to Stephanie and Judd, like trying to make moves.
The social dynamics this season seemed a lot more complex, and I think maybe some of that is even due to the fact that they switched everything up like 3 episodes in or 4 episodes in. Mm-hmm. I think that may have added to the complexity of that everyone's dynamics, because in a sense everyone kind of knows and likes each other, which makes the some of the like switch arounds and the alliances and the betrayals and all that sort of stuff like sort of come to a head towards the end.
Yeah, so when Gary's like trying to talk to Lydia, even down to the end, he's trying to work Lydia. Like, they were on an original tribe together, so there's some sort of former relationship there too. So
yeah.
It's that didn't even cross my mind at the time, because it's like it felt so far gone, these original tribes. Because like Stephanie, Rafe, and Jamie seem so separate from Gary that it's like the fact they're on the original tribe. It is
kind of wild. Yeah. But
so after Gary's voted out, there's the big turn. Well, it's worth noting when the fact that Jamie was voted out, that was a break in the 6, which just got to a point where Jamie was just too much to take.
But Judd, this is a key factor. Judd was not told about this. He was not informed because they said they didn't want to upset him, but it was ultimately because I don't think they wanted him to like flip out and tell or anything. I think they just didn't want to make it as big a deal or something. But like that was a sign of things to come, because that happened repeatedly.
Yeah, it became a pattern. But even though after that he was like a little upset, but he handled it pretty well, and he kind of just got himself back in the fold. And yet still, I guess it was from some comments from Rafe and some comments from Danni, it kind of got this thought in Stephanie's mind where it's like Judd's lying, or Judd's mad about the Jamie vote still, when he actually wasn't at all. Like, he wasn't expecting it at all.
It didn't seem like it from what we could see anyway.
But they kind of planted the seeds. I think this is probably one of Danny's better moves that she did, was that she kind of steered it in this direction and kind of fed that fire against Judd. And so I compared it to the Big Tom in All Stars, where Big Tom was like as loyal as he could be to Boston Rob and Amber, but like Boston Rob was so convinced that he had lied about something, or he was trying to get him out, and that wasn't the case at all. Yeah. So till the very end, even into the reunion, he was thinking one thing that wasn't true. It's like once you go down that route where you're believing this thing, you're never gonna get back on track, because you're just
especially when you're out there. That's like you get so in your head thinking about everything, like it can be hard to separate like the reality from what you perceive in your head.
Because like she even said it herself when she was talking about like this, she felt good about the 4 with Judd, Rafe, Cindy, and Steph. She's like, it's almost too good to be true, and it's almost like she undid that herself. Like, oh, maybe it is too good to be true. When really,
and especially because she told Judd's wife that like, oh yeah, we're gonna go together, and it's like the next day is like when she kind of came up with when she was sort of like indicated by Danni and Rafe to sort of maybe we should get rid of him type of thing, because he's going. They kind of like threatened. They basically were like, because he's gonna go after you is kind of like what they basically the seed they planted in her mind.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it really wasn't true. It's almost like there's, especially knowing how it turned out, to where like Rafe and Steph kind of fumbled the bag at the end. There's so many points you could peel it back and say could have done this differently, could have done this differently. I think they just kind of got too cute with it from the beginning. Like even getting Judd voted out at this point, I don't think that was necessary for them, because he would have been loyal at least to the 4.
Yeah, and you would have more guaranteed a vote, more likely to.
And it's like maybe he's a competition threat, but that's not at all what they were thinking. And Rafe and Steph are both like they can go up against him any day of the week. So it's like they had something locked in, but it's almost like they were so comfortable for so long that it's like, well, something's gotta be up here. Like it can't just be this easy.
Yeah, we can't have this all. It's all gonna be. We gotta switch it up somehow. So yeah, for sure. It was just sort of a lot of weird stuff happened towards the end with a lot of that.
But it probably was that easy. And then the car curse happens, and Cindy wins the car award and decides to take it for herself instead of giving everybody else cars instead of her, which was based. based Cindy.
This is a based Cindy. There you go.
But she
I want a car. I earned it. Yeah.
She gets voted out, which is like another mark against Stephanie. Like Stephanie even says it later. Just like, I already got like 3 votes against me in the jury.
Yeah, in the jury. Yeah, who's jury? Is Rory coming back?
It's like, yeah, it's got a little out of hand for you, Steph. It's almost like they were unnecessary. You could have just wrote it out, but
yeah, like Jamie's one thing. Everyone was pissed off by Jamie, but it was like, yeah, I mean, like it was almost like Rafe was setting up to pit himself against Stephanie because he was sort of, in a way, maybe this might be giving Rafe a little too much credit, but in a way, it's almost like he was sort of setting her up to be the villain since he was the one behind a lot of the decisions, and setting her up so much so that when compared to her, he's not nearly as devious, even though he was a pretty devious person ultimately.
Yeah, they're so cool. He was just a couple moves off from being there and winning.
Yeah.
And even down to the infuriating final challenge where he frees her of her promise.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, he immediately does so. I love that he does that. And then she was like, well, I was going to lock in, but like now I don't know.
Like, well, okay. It's kind of liberating. It's almost, I can just do whatever the fuck I want and there's no consequence. Okay, I'll take the easier one to beat then.
Yeah, with Danni and Rafe, that's a little tougher. I don't think it would have been as much of a runaway anyway.
I don't know, because you look at it on paper. How do you not blame Rafe for the same things that Stephanie's being blamed for? Because they're literally lockstep with all their votes. I don't know how you do, but maybe I feel like there's definitely a possibility they wouldn't, and he still could have won. But obviously, it's Danny's got the underdog story, and she's probably more favorable anyway. But literally. But then that's when you peel it back. Like that's why I thought they got too cute voting out Judd, voting out Cindy, and definitely voting out Lydia instead of Danni. That's the biggest crime, I think. And now
it's shocking that they did that. Honestly,
someone commented. Someone named Survivor1234 said that Danni was very sick during the last couple of days, which is why Rafe and Steph felt comfortable taking her to the end over Lydia. So.
Is that the case?
Maybe.
Did we know that? Was that? I don't remember that being stated.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just some outside information. I mean.
Okay. Even still, though.
Yeah.
Even not knowing the inside baseball stuff, it just seemed like to me that like Lydia wouldn't have lasted.
Lydia wouldn't win anything. Yeah.
No.
And it's like it's always endurance. Always. Stephanie would have won that.
Yeah.
And she would have taken Rafe to the end. Rafe would have won.
Yeah.
Okay, but
easy.
I can't believe Rafe did that though. Because we haven't seen the alternate reality where Danni, she could still have gone back on it. She kind of hinted towards the reunion, like her family would be mad at her if she didn't take out Rafe at that point. But it's hard to say. Like, at least make it harder for her. Don't like serve it up on the platter. Well, you can just vote me out, and I won't even be mad about it. Okay.
Yeah, it's freaking 6-1. This is insane. It's still insane to me.
They fumbled the bag right at
They
the
did.
end.
It was real bad. It was real bad at the end.
A couple blunders, I think, just really cost them. But yeah, Danni wins 6-1 over Stephanie. I think Danni's by far like the most under-edited winner so far that we've seen. Like, you see very little of her. Like, you see little bits of her.
Yeah, and to me, it's like that's a head scratcher there too. Did they just not have that much to work with? Like, especially towards the beginning. Like, I barely even remembered. I was like, oh, she's the one with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of what I knew her as. She was the sports writer who recognized Gary. But like, other than that, it's like I had no idea. Like I didn't really know who she was really until like basically the merge. And even then, it was still very little,
And so, one thing about Danni it's well known in the Survivor community, and it's like you have to take her word for a word, whether you believe it or not. But Chase Ferrier commented this. He said, Danni purposely hid her strategy in confessionals in fear that it would leak, which is why she was largely invisible. Like, she was worried that, like the producers or the cameramen would somehow like leak it in how they phrase things to other people. So she's claimed that she would hide her strategy and she didn't talk about it as much. So that might be why.
A possibility, but has that ever happened? Like, do we know of an instance where that's happened before?
I don't know. I mean, there are a couple things of hearsay from later seasons, but I don't remember hearing anything substantial. Nothing too substantiated, at least. But I mean, I guess it's fair to have that concern at the very least. But whether you believe it or not, I don't know. I mean, what could she possibly be hiding that we didn't see? Is what I think. I think she's just not interesting television. That's why we didn't see too much of her. And honestly, you can be a winner and not do too much. Like, people talk about this with, even to this day, like, wow, this person was really under-edited for a winner. They should have shown more of them. It's like, maybe they should have, or maybe there just wasn't actually that much to see. Sometimes you don't have to do too much. Just like,
honestly, that my opinion is that it is probably the latter. Like, she just might not be just the most interesting person. We saw her most interesting stuff, and it was in the show. Because
she's literally, I think, Final 6, Final 7. She's probably surrounded by everybody who's, like, at least more interesting to watch.
Yeah, everyone's a bunch of freaking weirdos.
So obviously the attention's naturally going to go around to the other people. Whenever you see Danni, she's like saying something nice, or like, even like when she's talking about her little strategy thing, she'll say it in a nice little way, like, "We're playing a little seed here, see how it goes." And she's like, "I don't want to go home just yet." She'll say stuff like that. She had nice little moments, but like she even said, she says she beat the radar. You know,
beat the radar was her. That was her, like,
not just under the radar. She beat the radar. You know.
Yeah. She was skating. You skated through.
Because no one ever talked about voting Danni out, even when it was down to, like, she's the last one there. It's like, it was almost never even a question. Never
a consideration, which is just like, I mean, she was decent. You know, she was pretty decent in some of the challenges. I don't know. It's just no one ever really considered.
If Chris wasn't enough of a warning, now you have Danni. Like, you have.
Yeah.
Don't get too cute with it. I know you want to hold on to that one person. There's only one person there. What's the worst that can happen? Well, they can. Bloop, they win.
Boom, there it is.
You got Vanuatu of all these women, and then the one guy gets in there.
This is still crazy. That's still crazy to me that he did that. That was what a wild.
But obviously, naturally, when you get down to one, it's like you want to use that person to turn the tides if you feel like you're on the bottom. So it's tough to find that balance. So it's almost a good spot to be. You know, Gary played really well, but he was always going to be first before Danni. So Danni was always in a nice little comfortable spot, even on the bottom. So it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. Let's see.
Yeah, for sure.
What other questions people had or things to bring up. Okay, so there was another thing. Allegedly, producers, before Bobby and Stephanie John were chosen, they were going to bring Wanda and Jonathan, the two people that were removed.
Who got done?
Yeah, got ultimately done dirty.
Got done super dirty, yeah.
They got done dirty again, you know.
Yeah,
robbed.
They did. Yeah. They got robbed.
We got robbed of seeing Wanda and Jonathan at the top of those steps.
Yeah, that's rough.
It was like, I guess it's basically the whole Oolong storyline was just so powerful that they were like, well, we need to capitalize on this. Actually, do these two instead.
Sequel to
Survivor 1, 2, 3, 4 mentioned that too. And they're saying that Stephanie and Bobby John never liked each other even on Palau, which explains why they're hostile here. So
I mean, I guess that's true. We didn't really see. I don't really remember it. That's the thing. I didn't remember there being like genuine hostility. That's the thing.
We never saw it. We really didn't see it until the end. We just saying he's gross.
Yeah.
But literally, how do you get down to? They seem so loyal to each other. So
yeah. It's just, I don't know.
How do you literally take out your whole tribe and you don't like that person that you're left with?
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't either. It's a little strange.
So unless they were just that set on, like, the most deserving person, the best people at challenges have to stay. Even though we don't like each other, we're gonna stick it out till the end of this draft. Brian Thomas asked, if it wasn't gonna be Stephanie and Bobby John, who would you have chosen as the two to come back? Let's just say you could pick anyone.
Is anyone?
Anyone from Survivor.
Johnny Fairplay and Rupert. That would have been
Iconic. That would be iconic.
Yeah, that would have been like, oh, holy crap! Here we go, Pearl Islands, baby.
The pirated duo.
Yeah.
That's a weird way of saying Lil and Produce Ryan, but okay, go off.
I mean, Produce Ryan. I mean, is there any other
Produce Ryan and just a stack of produce?
Clean up on Temple 6.
Produce just is like Produce Ryan is just a reoccurring meme, like the My Cabbages guy from Avatar.
Yeah.
He's always got his produce cart and he's like bumping it in the middle of challenges. He's an obstacle. He's whoa.
And his catchphrase is "Die, jerks."
Yep. He says he die jerks, and he starts invading challenges, throwing produce like at the competitors. One challenge is like
a bell ringing thing. So he runs out in the middle and like just does does a Gallagher thing and just like smashes a watermelon.
Yeah. Survivor 1234 also said that it has come out after the season that many of the castaways on the season said they would have never voted for either Bobby John or Stephanie simply because it was their second chance, and they wanted this to be their own season and not be known as the season of either Stephanie or Bobby John, similar to the argument that Greg made in Palau. Do you think this is a fair argument to make? Well, it's fair game. It's fair game to say it. I mean, it's just like in All Stars when they didn't want to vote for a winner because they won. Obviously, that stacks the deck against them. It's like Stephanie and Bobby John have to make it to the end together.
Yeah.
So that wasn't gonna happen. I mean, if we see Bobby John in the end, I would be interested to see if that was really true. Because it's hard to tell. Because Stephanie did have actually people bitter against her also. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. I mean, I think that's. So just to make sure that I understood, so there were people that said that wasn't a factor for them, that they wouldn't think about voting for them.
They wouldn't, yeah. That they were just not going to vote for Bobby John or Stephanie to win. Or like if either of them made it to the end, just on principle,
they just
that there was a second chance.
They all agreed that they wouldn't have voted for them.
They just said that it came out after the season that many of the castaways said that they would have never voted for them.
Oh, okay.
Like
interesting, because it's almost like to a degree. I mean, I think me and you have talked about this, where there's kind of a weird like, oh, they're getting another chance. Like it's like that's not really going to happen to most people who play the game. I mean, it hasn't been the case for most people who play the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so.
And that's like that was a weird thing with like choosing between Brandon and Bobby John. Like they ultimately kept, or Stephanie kind of let Bobby John say just so he could make the jury kind of thing. Yeah. And I was like, well, Brandon never made the jury either.
Yeah.
This is the first time.
Yeah, we need Brandon. Yeah. Poor Brandon.
Interesting. I mean, these conversations only happened in this season and with All Stars because it was returning players. So you don't have to think about these kinds of factors otherwise.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. To me, it makes sense. I mean, there is kind of a weird. Yeah, I think I would probably feel a similar way to a degree because it's like I want this to be my chance. Yeah.
But why didn't you just vote them out then? How are you gonna let them get to the end and then be like, oh, well, we're not gonna vote for you. Let's make it your season.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
But I guess you wouldn't want to keep Stephanie around for that reason. If you want to go against her.
Well, Jamie was saying even during the season that he was like, Stephanie's around. I don't care about that. It was like he was kind of saying that he wasn't a big fan or whatever, you know. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chase Ferrer also asked, does the endgame suffer from losing its main character, Judd, at Final 6?
Would I consider Judd the main character, though? He kind of was. He didn't. I don't know if he's strong enough protagonist vibes. That's the thing. I don't know. Rafe, to me, had the protagonist vibes. But maybe that's just because I stan Rafe. I don't know. I liked him a
I
lot.
don't think it really suffered. Like,
I don't,
even if you say Judd is the most like interesting, most
yeah,
entertaining character, it's like final six. Like you're asking for a lot if you like your
yeah.
main character has to make it past the final six on Survivor. Because like
Rupert,
Rupert got
yeah,
to I forget seventh, eighth, or something, and the
yeah,
seasons continued to be great afterwards.
yeah.
And he left his mark just like Judd left his mark. You
Right,
know,
right.
I think it's almost, it's almost fitting you get the dramatic fall. They both had dramatic,
Mm.
dramatic endings. We got Judd's
Yeah,
iconic last words too.
scumbags.
Mhm.
Get bit by a crocodile. Yeah, no, that was actually a really genuinely good episode too. That one,
Mhm.
because that was a Survivor auction and family showed up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think it suffered. I think it was still good after that. I think
Mhm.
honestly, what suffered was the whole finale. That was like head scratching decision after head scratching decision.
Yeah. Did it suffer? I mean, it's hard to say. Would you say it
Yeah.
suffered because they made head scratching decisions, or did they make it more interesting?
I
Or is
mean,
it
it made
just
it more
worse for you?
engaging because I was like, how is this gonna turn out? Like, that's kind of a weird choice.
It is, yeah. It's
So
disappointing
yeah,
that,
yeah,
I mean, you wanted Rafe to win,
yeah,
and it seems like he could have won if he
yeah,
did these things differently, but
yeah. There you go.
um and the Chase also asked would Steph had gotten votes had she stuck with her original alliance all the way through instead of betraying people like she did. I mean, knowing
Oh,
what Survivor 1, 2, 3, 4 said, now it's like whether would they have
yeah,
voted for.
yeah. I don't know. It's sort of hard to say now. You know.
I mean, clearly Rafe didn't have that mindset, so who knows how many had the mindset they wouldn't vote for Steph just because she returned. But
You know, it's sort of hard
seemingly,
to say. It's yeah. I wonder how many people in the jury said that. You know, but
but if she stuck to her original alliance, she wouldn't be in that position though. She wouldn't be against Danny. She would be
yeah,
against someone like Rafe, and she would lose that anyway, just because Rafe, I think,
right,
played it better and was more likable in that way. So I don't think it's a fair hypothetical because she doesn't get there against Danny without betraying her alliance along the
right,
way.
right.
Because
At least a little bit.
Danny should have gone at 6. She should have gone at 5. Should have gone at 4. So I think that's most of the questions. Now, Survivor One Two
Mm.
Three Four did mention this. A little piece of trivia. Do you know the
Oh, okay.
show, The Wheel of Time, on Amazon?
I know. I haven't watched it. I know the book series.
Hmm.
Uh, Robert Jordan, right? I think
Well, I
something
know
like
it's a
that. I
popular
don't know.
book series, and then they made
It's a
an
popular book series. Yeah.
adaptation on Amazon Prime.
I don't know if that's any good or not. I have been interested in maybe giving it a shot at some point,
Hmm.
but
I didn't know this, and I looked into it after the fact just because I was interested. And it seems like people are a little divisive on it. Like some of the book people didn't like the adaptation, at least after like the first season or something. But the showrunner for The Wheel of Time was Rafe.
really,
Yeah.
what?
So Rafe, I think he wrote that, and he's the showrunner for The Wheel of Time.
That's awesome.
Rafe also wrote the screenplay for Uncharted.
No,
Yeah.
really?
Hmm.
So I actually saw that. Genuinely entertaining movie. I actually really liked it a lot. I feel like if I had played the games, I probably wouldn't like it as much. Having not played the games, I thought it was a pretty fun movie. I didn't really like Mark Wahlberg in it at all, but Tom Holland is fine. Mark Wahlberg does his job. He's there. He's serviceable. I'm not the biggest Mark Wahlberg fan. I don't hate him. I don't love him. Honestly, it was a fun movie though. Good for Rafe. Good for him. That's
That's
wild.
pretty wild. Like I didn't know that he wrote The Wheel of Time. And then when I saw that, then I was like, well, let me see what else he's up to. And I saw Uncharted, the screenplay for Uncharted.
Amazing what survival will help you do, I guess.
Yeah,
That's crazy. That's great. Good for him.
so that's a cool little piece of trivia.
Wow.
All right, well, that's that's most of what we got until we get to the Survivor Superlatives. I didn't want to show you. I'll send you a link. I thought it might be fun. I didn't think of this until now. To where when you finish the season, I can show you the DVD covers for the season.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, this is something I've been sworn to not look at. I know because you've told me not to, but didn't they don't they sort of like spoil the winners or something on some of them?
Yeah, most of them are like the final 6 or the front.
Yeah,
and usually the winner's right in the middle.
Yeah,
and there are some exceptions, but you'll see as we go through them because I have Guatemala and then I have all the other seasons we've done too.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to see that. I think that'd be fun.
Survivor Guatemala.
All right, there it is.
Some of them are a little weird. These are like these are all their like cast photos. Like
I see that. Okay. Jed.
So
I forgot Jed was a little heavier looking at the beginning. I forgot about that.
So you got Danny in the middle. You got Judd, Gary, Stephanie, Rafe, and Bobby John found his way in the front.
Yeah, Bobby
they had to have Bobby John in there for the Palau effect.
Yeah.
Who we leave out? We left out Lydia.
Yeah.
And we left out Cindy to put Gary in there too. So sometimes they take a little creative liberty with their 6 they choose. So there's that one. You want to look at Palau?
Yeah, let's look at Palau. All right, let's check it out. Let's check it. Okay.
Palau.
We see Stephanie here again.
Stephanie's there. She was, and Bobby John is there.
Bobby John's there again too.
6.
That's funny. Got
They didn't even put Katie up there for the so they can.
No,
the
Katie's
top 3,
not even up.
But no.
Yeah.
You got Jen.
Yeah.
So.
Tom, there he is.
But yeah, most of the time the winner is right in the middle. Vanuatu. This is the final 6 right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Was Amy final 6? I think so.
I don't remember. She might not have been. I can't remember.
She might have been 6.
Yeah. This is the trouble with women. That's what I call this. That's what I call this.
One guy and the rest are women.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Okay.
All Stars is notably different.
Yeah. Okay. So let's check it. Oh, okay. So they just show them. They show them all.
Show them all. But look, they almost stick to the format. They have Amber in the top.
Yeah.
Boston Rob, Jenna, Rupert, Big Tom, and then Rudy. Rudy found his way up there.
Rudy, there he is. Rudy.
Suddenly,
Rudy looks
changed.
lost.
Yeah.
Rudy looks lost. He does not.
Yeah, I guess for their All Stars, they wanted to have all of them on there because I guess if you show the top 6, it might not be the most attractive Survivor All Stars. Like, where are the All Stars at?
Yeah.
Who's this in the middle? I don't know.
Rob Sesternino, right there he is down the middle.
Pearl Islands.
Pearl Islands.
Pearl Islands is the most different because guess who's in the middle?
Rupert.
Rupert takes the middle spot. And we got
there he is.
Sandra, Johnny, Krista, Lil, and Burton. So that is the final 6.
That is final 6 there.
Wait, no, it's not.
No, wait.
Dara.
No, because Rupert was out early. Yeah.
Dara, yeah. Rupert was probably out of the final 6, yeah.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
But he got the front.
Rupert, I mean...
He is the main character.
He is the main character of Survivor Pearl Islands, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
The Amazon...
Look at these pictures. This is so weird.
These are some pictures right here.
Rob's picture is so weird. I feel like it's not the best picture, huh?
Not really, no. Rob, and then this is an outfit right here.
What? Yellow?
No, just the outfit. Like I was just saying, like this. We got a group of people we got here. Yeah.
And then we go to Thailand. Look at Thailand is the weirdest one to me.
Yo, we got Rob, 2 B's, Rob.
We got Rob with 2 B's. We got Ganja. It's like, all right, well, we'll take Ted out and put Ganja on the cover, okay?
Yeah, take Ted out. Yeah, screw Ted. Get him out of here.
But who else are we missing?
We've got
We're missing Jan. They took Jan out, put Rob there. Yeah. They needed to put Sheehan in there, so they put her in there.
Yeah, Sheehan.
Clay Jordan.
2B, Clay Jordan, there he is. Rob 2B's like he was out like well before the merge. That's the
Yes.
thing.
I don't know what was so enticing about him and needed him on there.
I
Well,
don't know. I guess
Gandhi
they just
also was, but
yeah, Galdia was also yeah. Boy, that's
they were
that
like,
was
"Oh,
a
look,
season.
look, we definitely didn't take out all the minorities in the beginning. Look,
Yeah, see there they are. Here we
oh,
go.
well, they did have
Right.
Ted in the end, but
Yeah,
you know, not gonna have Ted
but
there.
yeah, not gonna have him there. Yeah, absolutely not.
More
All right,
cases.
more cases. Here we go.
Look, they found a way to get Boston Rob in there. You know,
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Oh, we didn't have oh, what's his name in Thailand? Jake. Where's Jake? Where my boy Jake at in
Jake,
Thailand?
did he make the final six?
I think I could have swore he did. Maybe not.
I don't think so.
Helen, Jan, Brian, and Clay. That's the four. Ted was before that. Jake was top six. So it was Jake, Ted, Helen, Jan, Brian, Clay. That was top six.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I knew Jake was there because I remember I was like, after Jake went out, I was like, all right, well, cool. I don't have anybody that I even want to cheer for right now.
we can go through these
Anyway.
last three pretty quick.
Yeah,
We
more
got
cases. Okay, we're going to
Africa.
Africa. Yeah, there you go.
Pretty Ethan. All right. Australian Outback.
Ethan.
I think this is the best color scheme wise. But look at Alicia's eyebrow raise on this
Yeah,
one.
that one's great. Yeah, Alicia's eyebrow raise is like that's pretty epic.
That's cool. And then
Very
Borneo.
Borneo.
There
Everyone
we
looks confused.
it is weird. Yeah, there's this even now like even I feel the even more recent Survivor DVD covers are like really bad looking. Like they pick weird pictures and like the weird colors in the background. I don't know. There's something about them.
Even looking at the Guatemala one, it's a little strange. It's interesting to me that people would go out and buy the DVDs of this. You know?
It's weird they pick the. I mean, like they're better looking photos now, but it's like it's weird to have cast photos on this. Like at least have them with their buffs on. It makes it. I feel like it ties it together better.
Yeah. No. We got to use the headshots. Our casting headshots.
Well, another thing I forgot to mention was that
Yes.
I feel like a downside to the season is that it's like the whitest cast in Survivor.
Yeah, there was.
Lydia is literally the only person of color, I think.
Yeah, that was.
So.
Yeah, it was definitely. It was definitely Whitey's brigade here down in Guatemala. You know, having her
Weird
around so
choice,
that
yeah.
she could actually understand Spanish was interesting too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
so
it's interesting you point that out. Yeah.
So you want to give your overall thoughts before we get into Survivor Superlatives or after?
I mean, like I don't know. We can do that right now, I guess.
Okay, so thoughts on the
Thoughts
season overall.
Overall, it was a solid season. It was a good season. I don't think I'd put it among top of the ranks. There was a lot of elements that I really liked. I think the challenges overall, this is some of the best challenges that we've like ever had. I think maybe they were going a little too hardcore in the beginning with the whole 11-mile trek through the jungle. But most everything else was pretty solid. Interpersonal dynamics. Having Bobby John and Stephanie back is a little weird, but overall, having them in the mix did actually make for some interesting stuff just that happenstance in the season. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I would say it's not among my favorites, but it wasn't like there wasn't anything that was like overly bad or disappointing. In fact, like most of the season was extremely entertaining. I think it had like a really good rhythm and flow to it. A lot of twists and turns with like people turning on each other. Ending was a little disappointing, but you know what can you do sometimes?
All right, well, it's time for Survivor Superlatives. All right, we're going to
right.
give out a couple awards, and we're going to rank the seasons. We're going to rank the winner. All right, let's see how it goes.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
So, an award we've been tracking all season long is MVP. Every episode you award an MVP to a survivor for any reason. That episode doesn't have to be of substance, or it could be. And so once I tallied up all the MVPs, the person with the most MVPs this season was Gary.
That makes sense. I liked Gary a lot. So
Gary had 4, I think, and the runners-up were Judd and Rafe. Each had 3, I think.
Yeah.
So now let's start. We'll start with the smallest and work our way up. The intro shot of the season. Do you remember who had the best intro shot?
I think Judd. Didn't Judd have the one where it was like coming up out of the mud? Oh no, Judd was the O face. Yeah, never mind. No, who was the one
Rafe, I think.
Rafe, yeah, because he was like he was like in the mud and like half his face was covered or whatever. I think that was the one we determined. I think that was the one we determined.
I do think Rafe was the best, from what I remember.
Yeah.
All right. And now, a word we've only been doing the past couple seasons is the pre-jury gem. Okay. Now, really at the bottom of the barrel here to pick from.
Yeah.
Who's the best to go out before the jury? I think you can safely narrow it down to 3, probably, as Brandon, Amy, and Brian.
I was gonna say Brandon, Amy, or Brian. I'm gonna say Brian.
Brian.
I think Amy was probably more entertaining, but I liked Brian's. Brian was clearly an extreme fan of the game, and I think that did kind of lead to his downfall because everyone sort of knew that and they knew, well, he's kind of a tricky guy. He thinks a lot and he plans a little too much, and I don't know if he really found a groove with the social aspects of the game. I did appreciate his like angle on the game. So, I mean, I think he was somewhat some of his underhanded little stuff. I think helped get Blake out early. So
he did bait Blake. Yep.
Yeah, baited Blake. Yep. Pretty well. So
now, who would you award the cutie of the season to?
I think you gotta give it to. Boy, this is. Let me look at those DVD covers again.
Let me get a look at the DVD cover.
Honestly, not the best, most flattering shots of either of them.
That's their cast photo. Is there something that people undergo the island transformation out there?
Yeah.
Makes them look better.
Makes them the glow. I'm gonna have to give it to Stephanie. She is that the second? Did she get it last year too?
I was gonna say it's for the first time, probably the only time ever.
Yeah.
Stephanie, back-to-back cutie awards. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I definitely have a little bit of a crush on Stephanie in these. She's pretty great. She was in, like I said, we saw a different side of her this time, which was interesting. Sometimes not always positive, but it's yeah.
All right, now
Annie's a good-looking girl too. I will give her that. So a woman. She's a good-looking woman.
Now, the last of the awards for the evening, Alex's favorite player award. Who is it?
I gotta give it to Rafe, man. Rafe. I mean, he blew it. He totally blew it in the end. But I liked. He was definitely playing the game. I think he was more devious than he may have thought in his mind. But he had such a wholesomeness to him. Like his crisis of conscience episode was just like, I was just like, just want to give him a hug. Like he's just like he's clearly like upset, and it's just like it. I don't know. It's interesting seeing somebody who is able to try to play the game with as much integrity as possible, like to the point where it's like, yes, we can beat them, but like we don't have to be like a horribly mean-spirited and like rubbing it in their face the whole time. You know, like, yeah, all right, we're lording it over you, but it's like I kind of appreciated that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he just seemed like a genuinely like good person. I mean, you know, we're seeing through a certain lens, but yeah, I don't know. He did a good job this season.
Yeah,
Definitely had a lot of control over the game
yeah. I
for
think
the
he was a pleasure to watch, and I think
yeah.
he definitely, especially watching it back, I think he was the best player this season.
Mm.
But obviously, it's like that tragic Shakespearean. His tragic flaw was
Yeah.
literally that he felt in his heart that he needed to free Danny of this very fair deal. It's like literally
Yeah.
the promise she promised that in the event you get me to the final three, I'll take you to the end. It's like, okay, that
Yeah.
sounds good. It's not like a nefarious deal.
Right. Yeah. 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 Like
It's
I don't
just like it gets you further, but it's like, nope, I don't. I want you to
to feel
feel
that way, and it's like
to feel weighed down by a deal that benefits
it's like
me.
no, this is the time to be weighed down by that. Like that's a good thing. But yeah.
He didn't have it when he needed it the
No.
most. He didn't have
No.
He didn't have it.
No. Yeah.
All right. So let's rank the season. Okay.
Okay.
Currently, your rankings for the seasons are Pearl Islands, the Amazon, Australian Outback, Vanuatu, Borneo, Marquesas, All Stars, Africa, Palau, Thailand.
I think this is a hold on after sorry, start saying them again after just go through it one more time for me. I think I had it, but I just want to make sure.
We probably need to show you the screen next time,
Yeah.
like because
Yeah, I
eventually
think
we have like
next time,
25
yeah.
seasons and
Yeah, where it's gonna be hard to remember. Yeah.
Pearl Islands, Amazon, Australian Outback, Vanuatu, Borneo, Marquesas, All Stars, Africa, Palau, Thailand.
I think I'm gonna put this just above All Stars.
Okay.
I think as a whole, as a season, definitely better flow to it than that. Um, I think it had a definitely more. There's definitely more going for it. I mean, it's like we don't have a whole first half of it that's completely cursed like we do in All Stars. Even though All Stars did have a very entertaining ramp up to the end. But here, you get some oddities, you get some strange stuff, but overall had a better flow. Overall had a better build. It's just that ending is a little lackluster. Beginning's a little weird too. So,
Mhm.
but
I think I'm gonna differ from you quite a bit,
okay,
but I think Guatemala and even in the Survivor community is like one of the more divisive seasons. Like some
mm,
people really love it, some not so much. It's like because there's just like, yeah, there's that weirdness about it. You know, it's like
yeah,
how much do you appreciate the weirdness? Um, so my rankings currently were Pearl Islands, the Amazon, Borneo, Vanuatu, Marquesas, Australian Outback, All Stars, Africa, Palau, Thailand. I think this is below Palau. I think Palau is better. So I put it just above Thailand.
so where do I have Palau? I'm trying to remember.
Second to last.
I have Palau down there too.
Mm. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I didn't remember having it that low, but
I didn't either.
it makes sense, I guess.
Well,
Palau is one of those things that a lot of people love too. I feel like we've got some hot
yeah.
takes in here, but
Yeah. Well, Palau, I think you and I both agreed that like while it is interesting to have seen a tribe like all the Survivor firsts of Palau,
mm-hmm.
it was still like it was just a bizarre. It just wasn't fun to watch. Like the first half of the season just almost wasn't fun to watch.
And Tom was an impressive winner, you know, so that was cool about it. But
Yeah.
and the whole final three, Ian giving up immunity, the whole drama of it, that's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna rank the winners. Okay, currently your winner rankings are Richard, Brian, Tom, Chris, Sandra, Vesepia, Tina, Ethan, Amber, Jenna. Where does Danny fall on the winner rankings?
Right around Ethan. It's like right around Ethan. I think I might put her just below Ethan.
Hmm.
I think she had more agency than the other two ladies, but she was kind of a coaster. Again, it's so hard to say because as we've sort of said, she is so so like unedited, I guess is what we say. Underedited, yeah, unedited. She's unfiltered. Yeah, she's so underedited. We just see so little of her. It's hard to like get a gauge of like what we have to sort of rely on, like what's said outside the game, metagame sort of stuff, in order to like rely on like how well she did. But to me, it was an okay game. It did seem like a lot of it was just flying under the radar, beating the radar, but like really flying under the radar ultimately. So that's kind of where she is for me.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'm probably in the same spot. But my rankings were Richard, Tom, Brian, Chris, Tina, Sandra, Vesepia, Ethan, Amber, Jenna. So I think I would also put her after Ethan. So I'm still kind of torn. I feel like I might want to move around. Tina, maybe put Sandra Vesepia higher than her. I don't know.
See that. We'll have to see. We'll have to do a little bit of moving around at the next one, because yeah, it's starting to get a little unwieldy how many names and how many seasons we're at. So yeah, we may have to have a physical.
In. Yeah. I always find it entertaining to see people's winter rankings and season rankings. So it's like this super long thing.
Yeah,
it's
extremely
like
long
40
list. Yeah.
Seasons. Yeah. There you have it. That's it.
There it is.
Survivor Guatemala.
In the books. There it is. It was a journey. It was worth having, worth going on this adventure with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, Guatemala is just like the pre-merge is very boring, minus the Judd Tribal Council and Judd flipping that episode. Like all the people are very memorable or not memorable early on.
I think maybe that's kind of one thing too. Is just like, again, everyone was dead for like the first week of the competition, maybe week and a half even, and then like so that affected pretty much everything. No one was really all that memorable. Yeah, there was a lot of like unusual. It felt like it was slow to get going, and it really wasn't until that Judd episode that really like slammed the door. It was like, all right, this is. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess early signs of before that was the unbelievably confusing swapping around. That definitely did something. But it was legitimately the Judd flipping. I was like, okay, I think we're onto something kind of special here. It's sort of, I remember thinking that like we may have a pretty good season of Survivor ahead of us. And yeah, after that point, it gets very entertaining.
Yeah.
So
for me, someone did mention. I remember hearing this from someone saying that Survivor Guatemala doesn't have the best gameplay in it. Also, like there's not the most strategy going on. It's pretty straightforward. It's like, we're going to stick to the 6. It's almost like Jamie's strategy. We're going to stick to the 6, right? We're going to stick to the 6.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of more or less that. And then the only things, just minor changes, like, all right, let's get Jamie out. Let's get Judd out. There's not like really interesting kind of just gameplay like going on.
Small iteration on that. It's not, there's not like Gary got Stephanie and Danny to side with him and get these people out. It was very much like formed around those 6 people still.
Yeah.
So.
And like, because if you compare it to me, it's like you compare it to Vanuatu, where there was so much going on. Like Chris was gaming, and like everybody was really going for it. The people on the bottom were switching it up. There was so much interesting gameplay there. In comparison to this, so yeah. But
that was where like it legitimately felt like the immunity always mattered there for him, especially. Where it was like, yeah, he's gonna win it because like who knows? But then he was like weirdly aligning himself super well in the mix. It was just, yeah, that was a wild season, especially towards the end.
And of course, Pearl Islands had so much going on nonstop. So.
Yeah. Guatemala, entertaining from the very first episode. Yeah.
Because Pearl Islands is the perfect mix of like fun. A lot of really fun characters and also really great gameplay too. But Guatemala, I will say, I do like the location. It's a very unique location for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
The
very
past couple seasons have been
temples
beach style settings. This is very different.
deep in the jungle.
Yeah, and literally
Yeah,
in a lot of the episodes, they're just chilling on the steps and.
yeah. There was a lot of really great shots of like people standing up there and like the peasants below. Like it was almost like the peasants below. It was very cool. I almost felt like the reason they were going up there was almost because they got more like a maybe they got more like a breeze or something, and there was more airflow up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost felt like maybe that was some of the reasons why
Yeah.
why they would go up.
It's probably cool to just look down from up there too.
Yeah.
But,
Oh,
yeah.
also one of my favorite tribal council locations too.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. That the tribal council location was super cool this time around.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, that puts an end to Guatemala. We gotta say goodbye. And so we won't be going right into Survivor Panama. We will be taking a break to do a season of Black Mirror. I was gonna say Black Panther.
season of Black Panther. Yeah, we're going to Black Mirror season 3. I don't know how many episodes there are.
I think there's
this time around,
6.
but-
I think there's 6 this time.
So it's going to be a longer interlude, I guess,
Yeah,
this
which
time
is
around.
sad, but
Yeah.
we'll savor it even more when it comes back.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I'm gonna be jonesing by the time it gets to like November or whatever. We'll be at it.
Yeah.
Probably be like, yeah, almost December. It might even be the beginning of next year, but I'll be
It's
be
basically
ready.
2 months,
Yeah.
if everything stays on course, so we don't have any
Yeah.
interruptions. It'll just be 2 months. But it's gonna be a fun season of Black Mirror. Obviously, I don't know how much interlap there is between Black Mirror watchers and Survivor watchers, but if you're into that kind of thing, season 3 is one of the best, if not the best season. So there'll be a lot of fun discussion there.
for sure.
So
I'm looking forward to
check
it.
it out.
Again, I've never seen it, so
yeah.
taking my way through that.
And then we will be back for Survivor Panama. Rest assured. I'll also be doing videos on Survivor 43. At this point, we're so far ahead, it might even be going right now. I'll be doing Survivor 43 videos, so that'll be just me. But it's something. You'll still have some Survivor content, at least. Get your fill.
So Rusty will be joining you for the intro discussion,
The first
correct?
episode, which I'm sure is up by now. I'm sure.
Yeah,
we're
it
well
should be
into
up by now. Yeah.
That's it. If you enjoyed
Alright.
this video, why don't you go back and watch our review of Survivor Palau? All right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is the sequel to that, so there you
It
go.
is the sequel. You can't watch. Well, you can watch Palau without this one, but
Yeah.
because it was almost one of those things where if you were recommending seasons for people to watch, if you weren't watching in order like us, it's like people would recommend you got to watch Palau right before Guatemala.
Right. Right.
Right. Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our. I was gonna say our podcast feed, but I haven't updated that in a while. So.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta do that, I guess.
Hit the notification bell. Like the video. Leave a comment. Click all the links in the description for our social media. All right.
All right.
Godspeed.